You're prejudging him. Like doing that. Be considerate of
Okay, now I can call this house to order. Few house rules, please only leave in between speeches, not during speeches. Keep your phone silent or off it. Alright, on opening government, we have block A. Opening opposition, we have Greater Malaysia. Closing government, we have Batu Lintang A. Closing opposition, we have Outpost Indian. On a motion, this House believes that the United States should make the ratification of the TPPA Contingent on Malaysia and Singapore, committing conclusively ending the haze problem. I would call upon the Prime Minister to present the motion and stands at the meeting. Here.
Mr. Speaker, before I begin debate, first of all, I'd like to start on several characterizations in the debate today. First of all, when talking about TPPA here, we're talking about a deal that economically provides Malaysia with access to wider markets, wider global markets, and strengthen Malaysia's various newer industries, for example, technological industries. And it's also predicted that Malaysia will receive the third most profits in the Asian region. So we can conclusively prove that TPPA proves to be a very important deal to Malaysia and Singapore today. So first of all, I'm going to link this deal to the haze problem here. Now, one of the core values of TPPA is that it concerns environmental problems. And the haze, as you all know, it actively stops the markets in the Asian region from expanding. And on a smaller scale, companies on a daily basis cannot operate, of course, due to the haze. And on a bigger scale, industries in the whole Asian region, they cannot operate, they have to hold their production due to these haze problems. So when TPPA concerns expanding markets in the whole world, including Asian region, what Malaysia and Singapore companies are doing are that they are clearing lands in Indonesia by burning. So when they create this haze, it directly opposes the value of TPPA of protecting environmental values, right? So TPPA concerns on expanding Malaysia's market, but Malaysia and Singaporean companies do not seem to want that. They seem to be clearing this land by burning these forests and creating haze that stops the economic growth in the Asian region. To tell you that this directly opposes two things. First of all, the value of TPPA, and second, the benefits that TPPA is trying to propagate here today. So if we can conclusively prove that Malaysian and Singaporean companies are the factors behind the haze problems here today, then we can tell them that what they are doing, what these companies are doing, is that they are directly opposing this deal. And under these two countries, we can tell you that these two countries hold responsibility for the actions of these companies. So under these characterizations, I'd like to move on to my substantives here today, but before that, yes.
So wouldn't it seem like the US bullying smaller countries into picking up this deal?
We tell you that when before we carry out deals, for example, the TPPA, we have US has held talks with Malaysia and Singapore, and they've agreed on certain core values, certain benefits that they want to propagate towards these smaller countries, and both parties have agreed to these values that they will want to protect and these benefits that they want to reap from the deal itself. So we tell you that this environmental problem is one of the values that they have agreed upon in this deal, and hence Malaysia and Singapore do have a role in preserving this value in the deal. So moving on to my substantive, is equity in the deal. So Mr. Speaker, I tell you about how if Malaysia and Singapore are responsible for these haze problems due to the actions of their companies, according to the deal itself, they should be held responsible for their actions, right? So why make this TPPA contingent on them committing to conclusively ending this haze problem, right? So if Malaysia and Singapore are truly the cause of this problem, and they have not taken actions, approaches to stop this haze problem from radically telling the companies to stop whatever they are doing, sit down. Stop whatever they are doing, and that they tell the companies to conclusively stop the actions. We believe that they are not putting up their end of the deal here. They're protecting the core value of environmental protection. We tell you that when they do not respect the core value itself, they are not linking back towards the benefits that they want to prove they want to reap from this deal. That's economic benefits towards the whole Asian region. And when the haze itself is stopping Malaysia from not only Malaysia, but the whole Asian region from gaining economic benefits. We tell you that they do not even seem to be interested in taking up the benefits that TPPA has to offer, but before that, yes.
Now, just to clarify, to what extent do you mean by conclusive? Is it just by revoking licenses? Is it just by removing the whole haze problem in general?
I think it's very simple here for Malaysia and Singapore. When the companies operate in Indonesia, they should just first of all, approach them, give them a warning. Look, you are clearing land here in Indonesia. We give you a warning to stop these actions. Simple enough. If you do not stop, it's simple for us to revoke your licenses because it's against the interest of our country, not only us but Singapore as well. Malaysia and Singapore is against the interest of our countries towards this deal. And if you stop our interests, when you stop what we're trying to protect and our side of this deal, it's simple enough for us to revoke your licenses to stop you from operating and doing what you're doing in Indonesia, which harms our side of the deal. But moving on to my point in equity of the deal, we believe that Malaysia and Singapore do have a right and have a role in stopping these companies from doing what they are doing and putting up with their side of the deal in order to reap the benefits that they want to achieve themselves. So moving on to my second substantive here today, I'm going to tell you about how the how Malaysia and Singapore are responsible to the ASEAN region here today, which relies on them putting up with their side of the deal here today. So we tell you that Malaysia and Singapore, what they are doing does not only harm them, because what they're doing harms the whole ASEAN region here today. So we tell you that if they not conclusively commit to ending this problem here today, they're not only harming themselves through not putting out with this deal, they're also harming the whole ASEAN region here today because simple enough, they did not put up their side of the deal, the ASEAN region does not benefit because for these two core countries of the ASEAN pact here does not cooperate with this side of the deal, the ASEAN region is lacking of beneficial partners that might help them to grow economically. To tell you that they're not only harming themselves as stakeholders, but also other parties in the ASEAN region in today's debate here. So what have I told you today, Mr. Speaker, today's debate? I've proved to you the importance of TPPA towards Malaysia and Singapore. I've explained the roles and values of TPPA towards this haze problem, and why Malaysia and Singapore are specifically the parties involved in stopping their companies in ending this haze problem. I've told you about how to pull up equity in the deal. Malaysia and Singapore are the ones that should be responsible in ending the problem, in stopping their companies from operating under the motion here today. And my second substantive, I told you about how they're not only harming their countries, but also harming the ASEAN region and stopping the whole region from economically growing, but not putting up with their end of the deal. And with all these reasons, go for opening government. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Prime Minister, for opening up. Again, not called upon leader of opposition. Here.
We side opposition believe that it is a shame for the government side to only blame and place the burden on the Malaysian and Singaporean governments to solve the problem which is essentially created by the Indonesian government. And we believe that the United States not only bring more harm to the TPPA by forcing their hand into what is going to happen with the haze problem in terms of forcing Malaysian and Indonesian companies to play a part in conclusively ending the deal, but also show that the TPPA isn't contingent on getting Malaysian and Singaporean governments to end the haze issue. Now, before I move on to clarification, I'm going to go with some rebuttals. Now, the opening government mentioned that we must solve this because in order to achieve a sense of equity in the deal. And to that, we say that Malaysian and Singaporean governments have very little power over what happens in Indonesian soil. Now, besides, when we look at the United States and their responsibility in dealing with this, we believe that they know better that when it comes to these deals, which involves different countries, different laws, and different GLCs, MNCs all over the world, it is very complex and involves jurisdictions of different countries. And I will show later in my first substantive that Malaysia and Singapore do not have any control over how these private companies behave in other countries. And number two, the opening government also said that this will bring more harm to the Asian region. Now, to this we say, there are a lot of other countries that operate within the Asian region. Why put pressure on only the Indonesia and Singapore? If you want to put pressure on the Indonesian government. Like as I said earlier on, it happens on their soil and move. As I will prove later, it is also because the Indonesian government incentivizes private companies and agencies in Indonesian soil to act irresponsibly, and this is due to the Indonesian government's fault. Now, moving on to my clarification. Sit down. Now, what we meant here is that we do not mean that Malaysia and Singapore governments are not having any incentive to deal with the issue. For example, the Malaysian and the Singaporean governments have already proceeded with lawsuits to combat the Indonesian government for lax environmental laws when it comes to Indonesian soil. Number two, Malaysia and Singapore can also suspend the licenses of these companies if they need to, but to conclusively end this problem, which happens all in Indonesia, it is not their duty to do so. Now, this can be done through several means. A, by encouraging ethical farming. B, by not relying on Indonesian land for agriculture. And C, to reduce dependence on palm oil as a source of revenue, which Malaysia are heading towards, and it is dangerous. And three, moving on. So, as we talked just now, many Indonesians, right, and these corporations in Indonesia, they play a role in shaping these problems anyway. How so? Because many of these multinational companies, many of the GLCs, they hire third-party contractors based in Indonesia to do their forest clearings for them, which means they are also responsible for burning forest fires because it is the cheapest means to do so. B, the Indonesian government has artificially created a situation where burning forests is cheaper than cutting trees down. This is because of several Indonesian policies which are enacted within the country that forces people to move to the urban areas like Jakarta, Yogyakarta, or in Surabaya. Now, this artificial scarcity, right, which is caused by this problem, will make it happen that there is less manpower to cut down trees, And this will mean forest clearing can be done with a smaller amount of people to do so. Now, even if all Singaporean and Malaysian companies hire independent contractors, Indonesians will still proceed with burning because of these conditions which are started by the Indonesian government anyway. Now, moving on to my substantive, which is why there isn't a nexus between private corporations and governments. But before that, closing up.
Based on the notion, it's Malaysia and Singapore who are doing the overburning. And if it comes from Indonesia, it's in our case. Because you're telling us that the US should put pressure on people on the other side of the globe. Now we tell you that if it comes from Indonesia, Malaysia.
Now, to answer that, I've said countless times that it is down to Indonesia, not Malaysia and Singapore, to solve the problem, and this is where our stance comes in, this is where our burden lies. Now, moving on to our substantive. Now, A, companies which are based in other countries work without their main countries oversight, which means private entities based which are registered in Malaysia and Indonesia cannot actively interfere when they are active abroad. Now, this is contingent to the laws of the country that they are operating. This means that the government does not have any power within the company, and actions for them which happens in Indonesia cannot be accounted for by Malaysian and Singaporean governments. The government can only intervene when and only when laws are broken in the country of origin. For example, these companies can only be fired, can only face jail time only when they steal toxic waste in Malaysia. But it is Indonesia's government and their duty to punish these companies accordingly anyway when acting in Indonesian soil. B, CEOs and the board of directors make decisions according to what's best for them. And what's best for them, it is what is most suitable to their cash flow. This means that if Malaysia's improve regulations within the country, they will make financial decisions to comply as such. So, if Indonesia were to create conditions where it's cheaper to cut trees rather than to burn them and clear entire forests, then the board of directors will take that as their decision, and that is not contingent on the Malaysian and Singaporean governments. And C, the Malaysian and Singaporean governments have no direct control or oversight over their actions and the incentive when their actions lie with Indonesia. And why is this harmful to the TPPA? It's because Malaysia and Singapore depend on TPPA for revenue. If we do this, then what's going to happen is that they will be more incentivized to cut down more trees and to use out and build out more plantations, which will then they use to generate income, because the TPP is no longer their main source of revenue. So with that, we've shown you that the lie blames on the Indonesian governments, not the Malaysian and the Singaporean governments. And for a greater Malaysia, we would like to host.
Thank you to the opposition. Close the case from side of the government. I call for the Deputy Prime Minister. You have the floor.
See that today's debate from both sides of the House, we're trying to solve one question. Whose fault is it really? Is it Malaysia and Singapore, or is it Indonesia? And which country or which place should be held accountable for the haze problems that we are currently undergoing? My view today, I'm going to try to clear that clash between the opposition and the government right here. So I'm going to start with something very simple, which is, in simple words, an analogy, right? Because first of all, when we employ someone, we want when your worker doesn't do something correctly or causes a problem, you don't really blame the worker, because you go for the root of the problem, which is the employer, correct? And we see that in this problem right here, even though the haze problem is started in Indonesia and on Indonesian soil, it's done by Malaysian and Singaporean companies. It's the root of the problem. Therefore, we see that Malaysian and Singaporean companies are the real source of the problem, and therefore we should hold them accountable. However, okay, since you want to argue that, okay, it's Indonesian soil and they should be held accountable. If even if Indonesia is held accountable, we see that just recently the President Joko Widodo and Barack Obama, they had a conference and they expressed Indonesia expressed interest in the TPPA, and they've already agreed that they want to join the TPPA with the US. We see that even if it's Indonesia's fault, they have already agreed to the terms of TPPA, and in that sense, they are not the ones that are fighting problem here. We see that Malaysia and Singapore are the ones here who are causing problems because they firstly have not actually agreed to TPPA in the first place, and they are the main ones. So their companies are the ones who are doing the haze, who are causing the haze here. So we see that from what the opposition is trying to tell us that just because it's done in Indonesian soil, that is, we should hold Indonesia accountable. From government side here, we don't really see why we should, and on our side, we're opting that Malaysia and Singapore, since they are the roots, we should really go for that. So moving on to what my point is, which is the benefits of the TPPA for Malaysia. So we see that the TPPA can actually help Malaysia in its economic crisis at the moment, and that it can actually foster more job opportunities for Malaysia. So we see that in joining the TPPA, it is doing a great deal for Malaysia. So, yeah.
True or false, Malaysia and Singapore might not be interested in joining the TPPA after your resurrection argument.
We see that closing opposition, it seems as though US is actually pulling smaller countries into an agreement in necessary one. We see that it's not considered bullying because Malaysia and Singapore, we all live close to each other, and in causing the haze problem, US has the right to intervene because it is indeed harming other countries in the Asian the sphere, because other countries in ASEAN have already agreed to TPPA. Therefore, in hurting the countries in TPPA, US has the right to intervene to Malaysia and Singapore. Yeah.
Would the US agree to doing something that will harm relations with these three countries, Malaysia, Indonesia, and Singapore?
Sorry.
Would the US agree on doing a deal which will then harm the relationships between the three countries, Malaysia, Indonesia, and Singapore?
I think that the US will agree into this because, first of all, looking for the long run, all three countries, they really do want to solve the haze problem. And we think that in doing so, US is doing them a favor in a sense. We see that they will agree. So, yeah.
Given the fact that Malaysia just signed the ASEAN community, don't you think the ASEAN community and the ASEAN economic zone should put this pressure and draw us to comparison for why the TPPA is better?
We see that the TPPA is better because, first of all, it actually, one of the main benefits of TPPA is to actually foster more job opportunities, and it's true here that we see that it is much better than ASEAN itself. So, yeah, I like it. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Prime Minister. Close debate for open half and call for the Deputy Leader of Opposition. You have the floor.
The main characterization that OG has left out within this debate is that Malaysia is already at a tipping point when basically the American government wanted Malaysia to be part of the TPPA. There was a point where Malaysia wasn't even sure on which side they would stand. That's why the president of China decided to actually visit Malaysia before in order to get them out of this discussion in the first place. And And that is why also Obama has come to this country multiple times in order to convince the Malaysian government. So within my speech, I will explain to you why would this would practically overburden countries like Malaysia and Singapore and make them decide to pull out of the TPPA, and why this is not within the interests of the United States in general, and how this would also facilitate for China's takeover in terms of economics within ASEAN in general. But so before I move on to my argumentation, there's several things that we need to clear up. Firstly, is Malaysia vicariously liable towards the actions of companies in Indonesia? Firstly, we have to analyze within vicarious liability. You have to see whether there is any form or degree of control on the company itself. What does Malaysia have control over these companies? You have control over the registration, the basic services, and probably to extend the HQ office. But you have no control over the operations when you are abroad. Just like how when Linus started an operation of a plant in Malaysia, the Australian government has no control over this over Linus's plant in Malaysia in general. More often than not, the operations within these countries, they will also hire locals to some extent. That means most of the time, it is an independent body, even though they may be employed by a Malaysian government to some extent. That's why we mentioned ideas like independent contractors also. Second of all, you have no power over the selection of the CEOs or board or directors. That means you have no direct control on what exactly they're going to do. Even if they, it's not like the Malaysian government promised them certain kind of jobs if they work with companies like KLK. That means they have no direct control over what exactly are the actions onto it. Now, even if you want to talk about GLCs that are directly linked to the government in general, firstly, there is still no reasonable oversight abroad. Because even if they were to appoint another person, the first thing they would imagine to control is the cash flow. And if the environment were to actually push them into an artificial scarcity where you don't have manpower, that is the only way for these companies were to survive in the first place. And it's easy to say, and it's easy to please the Malaysian government to some extent. But second of all, even when the state invests within your company, you would still have some degree of autonomy. That's why Petronas could still act on its own and create contracts on its own without actually going through referendums, because it's directly not part of the civil service. Even Pemandu directly has a significant autonomy when people like Industriala said that he can hire people directly from his previous team from Shell. So that shows that the government directly has no actual direct control over these people because they have their own autonomy within it. Now, moving on to my argument. Firstly, how the United States cannot afford to overburden Malaysia and Singapore. Not to mention, they failed to actually clarify to what extent they've been conclusively ending the haze problem within Southeast Asia. We assume the actions that Malaysia has taken, let's say threatening the companies or even suing the Indonesian government, has already been good enough with the status quo. Let's recharacterize the conditions that the American government has to deal with when it comes to Malaysia. When it comes to the TPPA, you have to review protectionist policies that Malaysia relies on. That means the tariffs or what we impose when it comes to quotas, when it comes to cars or even agriculture. So the only reason products from agriculture and the automobile industry is still alive is because of the existence of these tariffs and the protectionist policies. Now, considering the fact that these companies are already in turmoil, they have to compete with foreign products when the TPPA actually comes through. Not to mention, they're also tied to nationalistic themes. For example, Proton is a national car and it's directly part of the national narrative. That means Malaysian politicians already have to deal with the national backlash that they have to go through. Politicians have to sacrifice certain political agendas, like it or not, but for America's interests to some extent. That means the United States has forced Malaysian politicians and the Malaysian government to sacrifice a huge chunk of their autonomy when it comes to the TPPA. To get them to conclusively solve a problem that there is no direct link with them and they are not vicariously liable for, would only create this impossible burden that they impose onto the Malaysian government. But before I explain why it's harmful, I'll take close.
So you're saying just because you're a third-party contractor, it is within your rights to harm the health of millions of people.
We say it's not within your rights, but they don't have the direct control what exactly they do, especially with the creation of the artificial scarcity created in places like Kalimantan, where you don't have enough manpower because you force all these people to move to urban areas instead. You have to deal with that closing government. Why is it harmful? It's because Malaysia and Singapore are some of the toughest parties to be convinced into the TPPA. That is why Obama had to visit us multiple times, and we had that horrendous sign with Bremer on top of Guthrie.
Now, Malaysia almost did not join TPPA because Malaysia is heavily needed in the United States in order to make the TPPA work. When it comes to other countries within the agreement itself, they have already removed or laxed their protectionist policies even without the existence of the TPPA. That means Australia only needs to create some minor tweaks within their policies in order for American companies to actually enter and sell the products. But when it comes to Malaysia, they actively need them to actually be part of the political process in order for them to remove these protectionist policies and get American companies to actually enter them. But why is this really harmful to America in general? It's because this would push Malaysia towards China instead. And the United States fear China's takeover when it comes to the economics. China is already the #2 economic power, and they have a significant degree of control within Southeast Asia. Considering the huge burden you want to impose, that means Malaysia would practically be pushed to shove onto China instead. What will happen here? Because China is perceived as a country, sorry, not company, as a country that will actually who has lax regulations or when it comes to ethical reasons, they do not have the same standards that America does. That means they are even more willing to even trade into things like palm oil, or they are not actually they're actually willing to go around the tariffs or the quotas that Malaysia already has. That means China can be perceived as the continuing largest trading partner that Malaysia and Singapore has, and they're more likely to actually push into that direction. That means the harms that Anu spoke about Malaysia expanding more palm oil plantations and actually focusing on that industry would even occur even worse on their side, because you can actually easily export palm oil products to China, and that is a good enough market. The TPPA gives them an incentive to move to other industries and be part of it instead. And you remove the incentive for them to actually move away from palm oil. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to actually realize what is better for Greater Malaysia, and we believe is to push them into the TPPA rather than forcing them out of it and let China take over the economy of Southeast Asia.
Here, here. Thank you, Deputy Leader of Opposition. Open the debate for side closing houses. I call for a member of government.
What opposition has been trying to say is that the U.S. has no autonomy to for special companies in Malaysia or Singapore, that they don't have control. Well, our side, closing of government, is going to prove to you how this influence is, how impactful can the U.S. and the influence of U.S. can be. But before that, right, a few rebuttals. They've been telling us how it's not going to be there, how the TPPA is not going to be it's not going to be proper and efficient, and it's not going to work, right? But from our side, we say it is going to work because they're going to target, because they've already been targeting the people who have been polluting the most, right? Even if you're going to say that Indonesia is the biggest contributor, but we're not focusing on that. But we said they're not the fault because they're not the ones that, because Indonesia has already agreed, but Malaysia and Singapore has not. We think that this incentive of cutting off economic ties with Malaysia and Singapore is going to give, it's going to give them big, it's going to give these two countries big deterrence to stop thinking all about, to stop prioritizing about economic values and start thinking about environmental issues, because that's not what these developing nations are doing. They've been thinking about ways to make more money, exhausting their products, and that's not. The U.S. has already experienced the worst of the worst cases because they're already at a stage of where they're number one in the economic global value, and they do not want these. They don't want other developing countries to experience what they have and make environmental issues just as bad. No, thank you, right? But second rebuttal about how they are are fearing, how they feel that the fear of China's influence that they are going to, that Malaysia or Singapore are going to go to them is another way, right? Well, we say that this is highly unlikely to happen because number one, we have US is number one powerful, really powerful economy, and then number two is China. We think that it's much more worse for Malaysia and Singapore to go to the number two because they're losing something, they're losing a bigger friend and a person with bigger power and bigger influence. So that argument also falls, right? Now, why am I going to talk to you today? Right? I'm going to talk to you about international pressure and how it's really important and how it works, right? Because who's the US? Thank you. Who's the US in the first place, right? They're members of the key, right? And especially they've been really influential. They've also been really influencing in terms of Singapore and Malaysia, right? They really stand in a really big scale in an international economic scale. So we think that they are the best avenue and to curb the environmental problems because they are always that country who does social good. You always see US mingling into issues to make the world a better place, and we think that this US is really the best avenue to solve environmental issues to just get what's right. But also, we think that the manner in which US is sending a message towards Malaysia and Singapore is very stern because they're being strong and serious about this, right? Because they know that they are going to harm themselves in the end of the day, but they're thinking about the long-term benefit instead of the short-term benefit. They're thinking about the long-term benefit that will come towards them and towards their interest, rather than the short-term benefit where these developing nations are thinking about profit, right? No, thank you, right? But we think that Malaysia and Singapore will take this case seriously because they have a certain interest about how the economy is much more important than the environment. But we have to take into fact that the US is a very big contributor to that in their economy as well. I said no mention, except in the fifth, right? And the US is a very big contributor into their economy as well. And what is US interest, right? They're thinking about the long-term harm that will come over, which will decrease productivity in the end of the day because environmental issues are going to be there for a long time. It is really hard for you to curb that problem and take back of what you've done, right? So this is in that interest. They do not want the productivity level to decrease, but they don't. Because when the environmental problems are there, production will decrease. The environment and state you are is very uncomfortable. For example, when we have the haze problem, we have to have downrun because we cannot, we have to decrease productivity because in this region is really inefficient and unsafe for our workers to go out there and utilize their work and energy, right? So that is what the US is thinking. They're thinking about the long-term harm, how you will affect the economy longer, in a red run, and that is not what Malaysia is thinking. They're not prioritizing their people. They don't think about health. They only think about money, and that is really, really bad. This is how US can push that idea, right? And also how the idea as second argument, the idea about engagement. But before that, sure.
Is it hypocritical for the US to put this environmental deal when they do fracking in their own country?
Okay, but the problem here is that US is already a developed nation, but these people have more. These people are developing nations, right? So we say that developing nations are going to exhaust the resources even worse than where US do it, right? So we think that the scale of degree of seriousness is much more worse when it comes to these Asian countries, right? So second argument about engagement, right? No, thank you. How isolation is really a big deal and it's going to hurt people in the country because US has a lot of influence to other people, right? To other countries. That's a really, really big impact influence. We think that the US can influence other countries to stop to cut down economic ties with these Malaysian and Singaporean governments, and this is really, really bad to Malaysia and Singapore in the end of the day because these people are going to spread influence. These people are going to push it until the Malaysian and Singapore governments are going to be deterred about this, and they'll finally have an incentive to stick with the agreement, to stick and stay in the agreement as well. So we said it is going to be there, it is going to be really efficient, and also it is going to be lasting. And we also think that engagement and momentum is really important to maintain good relations because once you stop and cut ties with a certain country or a certain company, it's very hard for you to gain that momentum, to gain the trust and that you've already built in the past years, right? And this is going to be a ripple effect because now Singapore and Malaysia, assuming that they take these matters really seriously, that being committed to this because they don't want to jeopardize the economy even more in the end of the day. This border effect with neighboring countries, and this is going to be influenced, right? Because Malaysia, Singapore, and Indonesia are all dependent on each other. Indonesia as well will look at themselves and keep themselves in check. We also think that the idea of discourse is going to play in this field because more and more people are going to engage in this argument. There are spectrums of society that don't agree and do agree. People are going to engage in this. People are going to have conflicting ideas, and then they're going to come into a mutual concession and a mutual agreement to what is the best for them. And we think in the end of the day, when you have a big brother right there that's looking out for you, they are going to agree that if it's your people's health that matters in the end. It's the people that you need to take care of. Because without their health at a certain good stage, your utility decreases. Your production decreases, and that is going to affect your economy and your country in a big scale, right? It's going to jeopardize it even more. So from our side, we have covered most of the harms, but we have also covered most of the interests within the US and the Asian countries as well. So all the students, we're pretty proud to propose closing.
Thank you, member of government. I'll call for the member of opposition. Yeah,
Mr. Speaker, every side in this House agrees that the haze is bad. Now, let's analyze what has everybody in this House told you. Let's analyze what has the problems quickly if everyone done. What is the difference which CO is going to make? So, the problem in the opening half was, the opening half debate was about whose fault is it and what essentially happened. While the closing half debate will generally be about how the TPP can solve these kind of things and how other alternatives which use your side, which you didn't tell us, and I'll tell you what the alternatives are in status quo, will lead to none of those changes actually happening and why this policy basically works, right? So basically what we're in closing going to do is simple. We're going to argue on their best paradigm, right? Say, even if we have control, why is it important to continue status quo? That means join the TPP, go ahead with this kind of things, and how that will essentially make the difference in status quo. And all the stakeholders you said will be affected, will not be affected anymore. Few things before, like all my points of generally have rebuttals integrated. That's what I'll point it out and highlight it, right? But one thing which they need to come up in this debate and tell us is what is the alternative which exists and what can governments essentially do? Because the thing in this debate, right, is that you can come up and tell us that we're going to put pressure, but you didn't tell us what are the alternatives which exist. You didn't tell us why they essentially don't take those forms of alternatives, and you didn't tell us why those alternatives will generally do better outcomes, right? This is why my characterization in this debate is essentially going to be very important, right? So let's start. Number one, the haze, it's bad. Why, right? What is being burned as a whole? The thing which is being burned is usually old rubber plants and oil palms, right? Why is Indonesia burning this? Simple, because that is the main export of all these countries as a whole, right? These things employ a large group of individuals, and then most of this country's economy is reliant onto that. So why do they burn it? Number one, simple, because it's cheaper to get rid of this kind of products and to discard all these used trees, right? Because you need to get rid of it as fast as you can in order to plant more trees. Why do you essentially do this? It's simply because this is the most cheapest method which essentially exists, right? Why are other alternatives? This is why these alternatives which these countries can do under their paradigm will be problematic. Simple. Number one, the best alternative then is to not use slash and burn, is to use actual machinery which is used by most developed nations, like buying more big machinery and all. Why is it problematic, right? Number one, because it's highly expensive and it will show to you why the TPP will solve this problem. And number two, is because they don't have the capital backing which usually exists, right? Because banks usually I find this at highly risk, and then that's a problem, right? Because it's too much of a risk as a whole. So here's how I'm going to essentially characterize my debate, right? I'm going to show to you why the TPP is essentially the best way. I'm going to show to you how it essentially directly ends the problem, and how these essentially the alternatives on the other side is either you go with this policy or you leave the TPP, will be much more problematic and as a whole. So number one, why is TPP the best way, right? Simple. Because the problem is the thing, the benefit of going on with status quo and joining the TPP is this. Number one, TPP allows you to enter larger markets as a whole, right? So let's just look at it, right? Malaysia, let's just assume that Malaysia has control, right? So the Malaysia can still get those oil palms as whole. The moment you have accessibility to a lot of this, you can export this kind of goods to these countries as a whole, right? The problem here is this, right? In under status quo, market the price of rubber and the price of oil palm has dropped, right? So this means that many banks want to give loans because it's highly risky, and they see that these companies will not be able to generate the profits as a whole. But when you open yourself to more markets, right? Not only are you able to sell this rubber, you're able to sell intermediate products. So Malaysia, because we have so much rubber, create small intermediate goods which you get from the oil and the rubber which you get from Indonesia. This means at the end of the day, we sell it off to other markets. So let's go on very quickly, right? What happens when the TPP allows us to open up more markets? Number one, higher demand for all these products, which means the companies get more revenues. When these companies get more revenues, they start to see more profitable, which means that banks and all will not be seen as a risk if they were to give them loans and give them capital. This essentially means that they can afford the alternatives under your side, which is buy more machinery, buy more things, and use other alternatives. Because it's not so expensive. You need to realize that because of the dropping oil prices, using other alternatives is so expensive, right? And if it's so expensive, there's no point doing this, and you won't have jobs, right? Those people cannot survive. That is why slash and is so bad. That is why it's going on under status quo. You should have analyzed that. Number two, why is TPP also most important, right? And this is where my PY is so important, right? In this debate, and I ask why can't other alternatives exist? Simple, because TPP also has info transfer. This can be either through information and through intellectual property. Under status quo, a lot of methods which is being used by most of these governments are highly expensive due to patent, due to technology which exists, which is highly expensive to get access to begin with. Through TPP, this will reduce, right? The cost of these products, accessing these kind of things, will generally reduce, which means Malaysia and all have more accessibility to the latest technology. US doesn't have this problem when it comes to agriculture because they have access and they come up with all this machinery which get rid of all these crops much more efficiently. Through the TPP, we access those much cheaper because number one, the patents and the cost we pay for these things is cheaper, and number two, because it's much more accessible as a whole. This means we have more access to the latest and most efficient ways in trying to deal with this problem as a whole. This means, as a whole, you will not have this problem, and you can use better and more effective alternatives, right? Now, here's where our competitive essentially exists in this debate, right? Number one, all the benefits which will lead to lesser haze, lesser pollution, and a better chance of running your business as a whole will only accrue if you join the TPP because it gives you access to more markets and better technology, right? That's the alternatives which will exist on your side. Number two, if you don't join the deal, right? Let's just say it's so expensive and you pull out of this deal, right? You will still continue this pollution because it's the only way you can go on. It's the only way you can do it because it is cheap. You need to realize that most of these products are really, like the value of this you get from selling it is really cheap. If your overhead cost is so expensive, you're not going to essentially make the money, and there's no point doing it in the first place. Number three, let's just assume on your side that Malaysia actually goes on and uses this alternative. Number one, short term, yes, no haze, good job. But the long term is this, right? It becomes too expensive because it's so expensive to even get those machineries at all. That is essentially why it's not that we don't care about pollution like what they say. It's simply because that we don't have the ability and the accessibility to all this kind of capital. So as a whole, when we essentially the problem here is that if you go and run your alternatives, it becomes too expensive and people will lose their jobs. This means that you create poverty and you create lesser job opportunities as a whole. We're not saying status quo. We're not saying the haze is good. We're saying go on with status quo. Once you join the TPP, you open yourself up to more alternatives. You open yourself up to more markets. You open yourself up to having a better chance of running these kind of industries. And the thing is, banks and other people who bring in those capital investments to allow you to run your things better will be more willing to help you out. So at the end of the day, we think that our side showed you a trend analysis and a comparative of what happens under status quo, what happens under all your alternatives, and why is it better for us to just go on for this time being because it will get better. Thank you.
Alright, thank you for your opposition. First debate from side government. I'd call for government.
Yeah.
My very first rebuttal today will be thanking side opposition for justifying that the TPPA is indeed genuinely important to these countries, which also strengthens my previous speaker's point about Malaysia's incentives to do this. But let's take this step by step. Firstly, enough manpower. So you're saying that just because we don't have enough laborers, we should let them harm millions of people for their job security. For the job security of a few hundred people, we're going to put the health harms to millions of people. So next rebuttal about fracking hypocrisy. Well, the difference between fracking and haze is that there's no business shutdown because of fracking. No one gets asthma, no one gets lung cancer from fracking, and you do get that from haze. So haze is incredibly worse. So that's my last rebuttal about alternatives. They told us that they are alternatives. Well, I am going to justify again why the U.S. is in a special position, and why the U.S. is in a good position to actually people. And even if these alternatives are bad, we think that it's better that your people are healthier and you can engage in more trade than when you have less trade and your people are less healthy. So next I will be strengthening my side's case, and I will tell you about the 2 issues today that we have won. Before I start, you're all incredibly angry opening.
So what incentives does Malaysia have without the TPPA, when it's easier for them to have preferential treatment in China?
Well, as my previous speaker already told you, China is the #2 market in the entire world, and the US is much better. So they will be stepping down in their trading abilities. And your closing has actually told us lots and lots why the TPPA is so important. So obviously they're not going to just leave just because they don't like what the US is doing to them. So I will be strengthening my previous speaker's point, firstly about discourse, and also provide a bit of extension to it. So discourse. What we're saying is that by the United States making this a term that Malaysia and Singapore have to practice, we're saying that of course it's going to be a big issue. There are going to be people like side opposition who are going to be furious about it, and there's going to be people like side government who are more reasonable about it, who are overjoyed that they don't have to deal with the haze anymore. So what this happens when there are 2 opposing views in society is that they will engage in discourse, they'll engage in debate and discussions. And the benefits that you get from discourse is that generally society can progress their knowledge. They'll be more knowledgeable about the haze subject, they'll have less prejudices about the haze subject. And we think that it's not only important that the people in the general South Asia Pacific region know about this and have less prejudice about it, we think it's also important in the long run, because if within the next 10, 20 years, if any time in the future Malaysia decides to lessen their restrictions on the haze, and the haze happens again, we think that it's important that the previous discourse can help them. Because now they have more information, they're less prejudiced about it, so they are better able to defend themselves, better able to lead a movement against the government, and better defend themselves as the people. Let's sit down. So that is my previous speaker's discourse point strengthened. I will also justify to you why the US has a special position to do this, to put this pressure on these countries. So side opposition has told you that the US shouldn't be putting pressure on people all the way across the world. Well, we told you that firstly, even if it is coming from Indonesia, then Malaysia and Singapore are closer geographically and politically, and Malaysia and Singapore should be the ones to put pressure on them in that case. And we tell you furthermore that the US has a special position to do this, because the US has an international identity as the people who will make things right. They are the people that, if you are practicing communism, they will try to take measures against you. If you are hurting your people, they will take measures against you. The US are seen as the people who will meddle with your affairs if you're doing something wrong. So we see that they're an icon. And not only are they an icon, they have the natural credibility to whatever cause they try to push. If the US suddenly declared war against some other country, it would be great news, because everyone knows that the US doesn't do these things randomly. Everyone knows that the US has the best interests of the world at heart. So we say that because everyone views the US in this way, it is specifically the US that should be taking this action. It is specifically the US that should be sending a message to these South Asian countries that you need to take care of your people, or we just cannot principally trade with you in the future. Before I move on to issues, closing.
Fine. US can tell all these countries what to do. Tell us what will be the actions of these countries to solve these haze.
Okay, this goes back to your assertion that just because you're hiring out a third party company, you cannot have any control over it. Well, we're telling you that in this case, you do. Just because they are a separate entity from you does not mean you can restrict their actions, especially when their actions are going to result in health harms to millions of people. We're telling you that sure, on a grassroots level, they have certain amount of autonomy. They can decide when they show up. They can decide what rocks to harvest or whatever. But we're saying that once they take away the rights to other people, they take away people's happiness by presenting this health harm to them. We're saying that is going too far. You do not deserve that amount of autonomy. So now I will talk about the two issues today that I have noticed and that side government has won. First issue. Can Malaysia and Singapore even do anything? Because throughout side opposition's bench, they've been trying to tell you that no, it comes primarily from Indonesia. And well, as I've already told you, even if it does come from Indonesia primarily, Malaysia and Singapore and the US should be putting pressure on Indonesia and on themselves to stop this, to stop the haze happening. So yes, Malaysia, and even though the third-party company thing, they can deal with that. So yes, Malaysia and Singapore can conclusively stop the haze from happening. It's not something unachievable. The haze isn't something that happens naturally in every single country across the globe. It's something that happens in Southeast Asia. It is something that we can stop together. So we win that issue. Second issue, bullying by the US. How the US is acting like a big brother. We don't want to take authority. We don't want the US to practice their authority to us. Well, as I've already told you, the US specifically should be doing this because of their position, their special position to help and correct other countries. But we're telling you again that it's not the US bullying you. Because bullying they're trying to imply to you that you're trying to force Malaysia and Singapore into doing something that they don't want. But in reality, this bullying is forcing you to take care of your people. It's forcing you to do good things. And also, it's in the US, Malaysia, and Singapore's best interest that they stay together. It is therefore in their best interest to go with the motion and to go with side government. Thank you.
Wrap up the quarterfinals and cover the last seat of the House. Opposition League. Yeah.
Good morning, Mustafa. I hope you're well away. Ladies and gentlemen, I have team names for all 4 teams in today's debate. Number 1, we have team Greater Malaysia, with jack shit. We have team revoking licenses and against environmental value. We have team USA, because USA team loves every other country, apparently except Iraq, Syria, Afghanistan, a lot of other countries. And we have team that won. I'll tell you why. 4 questions for me to answer in today's debate. Number 1, why the alternatives won't work? Who solves the case conclusively? Who harms more people? And why the alternatives don't work? Sorry. Ladies and gentlemen, what are my rebuttals before I move on? Number 1, what is closing government major exemption? This is they want to give you discourse. We think discourse number 1 already happens and a lot of people have already started campaign and we are all discussing what's the best way forward. There's the fact that we're having this debate and in Parliament, what's the best way forward to solve the haze problem, because we can see that a lot of people are being affected. So discourse is not important because we are already having discourse. The question is then, which is the option that we take? So we don't need more discourse on their side. Secondly, this is the influence of the US is important because number 1, they care for the world. That's why I'm flagging my POI. To care for the environment of the whole world, you need to firstly be principally aligned. He said, hold on, the fracking idea is not a problem because no one is affected. The earthquakes that are caused by fracking has affected a lot of people and killed a lot of people, including in places like Colorado. So at worst case, they have been negligent. But another thing, we think it's in the US's best interest to allow Malaysia and Singapore to remain and continue doing this for a short period of time and join the TPPA. And with the TPPA supplementing the companies as a whole, while the companies have a better direction and would then move from using these illegal methods. But what did OG bring you? Number 1, OG said that haze stops companies from expanding. We could see, but we'll also show you how this burning has also allowed companies to expand, and we consider that a problem. But we think that the best way forward is what Kanda's extension nearly encompassed. Then he said that it's harming the ASEAN region. We don't think that there was any issues that we have. We could see that haze is a harm. The question is then, which alternative is better? On their side to win, they had to prove to us that this, number 1, would allow that this would help more people on the ground. We First question, who solved the case conclusively? What did they bring to you? Number one, you can solve this case to the deal. And number one, what is the problem with that? Companies under the status quo will look through loopholes, like exporting their branches elsewhere and using that sort of deal as a facade to continue trading. But secondly, even if that is, even if we concede that that won't happen, if they don't exchange other branches, they would, the individuals within the country, because they're poor, or companies would, if they don't continue doing this, the people on the ground are affected, not the billionaire, multinational individuals. What do we mean? That means the people who've been doing this slashing and burning, the farmers will be affected. And we think that you do not help the farmers out conclusively when they have no other alternative. That's why site closing opposition brought you the alternative. We allow them to continue doing so until the economy of within this Asian region, within the region of these countries are improved generally when they can move forward from there. So why do we solve it? When the companies gain the revenue from TPPA and the deal and and especially government-linked corporations get money which the government will be getting from joining the TPPA, then they can pump in more money for you to go look at the alternative, for you to get better machinery, and for you to stop doing it right. Because then the public pressure is stronger. They can question you. You already have the money to buy this infrastructure. Why aren't you doing so? Under the status quo, we cannot use that rhetoric and we cannot question them. Why aren't you using the alternative? Because they can surely prove to you that it will just too poor to afford this alternative, and the people will be suffering on the ground if we don't do this method, because it's the cheapest method for us to continue. But after the TPP comes, and since across the board we have conceded and agreed that the TPP will help boost the economy, that means these governments can now be pressured and be questioned to us, if you already have the money, why haven't you moved towards this a better alternative, which is terribly affecting us? Secondly, who harms more people? On their side, they will say we harm more people. Who do you harm? You harm the poor farmers that don't have an alternative, because they don't have the machinery to replant these rubber trees, they don't have the machinery to replant the palm oil trees. That means if on its surface level, what you do is on your best case, you cut off the company from ever planting there, because there is no incentive for them to do anymore. The incentive to invest in Indonesia exists as far as well, that they can continue doing the slashing and burning. When you concretely cut that off, the farmers within Indonesia and the individuals on the ground there would terribly suffer because they do no longer have an alternative. And secondly, the companies can always move to another country and they can always affect another country. But the people on the ground suffer. At least on our side, we concede the short-term harm of the haze continues. And yes, Mustafa would not be able to go back to APU because of his asthma attack. That is a problem. But we tell you, on the longer term, we conclusively improve the lives of people on the ground, and we conclusively make sure that governments do not look into slashing and burning in other countries as well as in Indonesia. So at least we have a short-term harm, and we're not denying that. But on the long-term spectrum, when governments have more money to push into the government corporation and allow them to buy the better infrastructure, that is when we conclusively will not look for other alternatives that are as nasty as slashing and burning, and we actually use the machinery that has been adopted by countries like New Zealand and countries like Australia. The reason they can very well do so within their plantation is because they have the infrastructure. We certainly like the infrastructure. And now lastly, we ask you about the alternatives. Before I move on, question, whoever wants.
Okay. So now with my infrastructure, I am sick, I am old, but I am dying, but still with that machine, how can I get back to the health that I had before that you make me sick?
It is very unfortunate that people are affected. The question is, what will you do for the farmers? Why is your life more valuable than the farmer who's planting at the moment? But we concede that while, number one, that you will get your asthma attacks, and we understand that's bad. We want a solution that after and which we put our money into it, it concretely no longer causes any problem. It continuously does not affect the environment. So yours is a myopic, short-term goal, while ours is we concede. In debates, there are always trade-offs. Our trade-off that we consider to was people will be affected. But the reward that we then get is governments will no longer want to look at this alternative as a method. They would have the money to sufficiently look into other alternatives. Ladies and gentlemen, what has Khanda brought to you that is very conclusive in this debate? Number one, on a step-by-step basis, Khanda proved to you this, that the companies do slash and burning, we concede. That is causing the haze, we concede. But to allow the companies on the ground, for the people not to suffer, for them to generally climb up the ladder and no longer have poverty in many of these countries, and for these people not having to lose their jobs, we need the TPPA to come in first to help us rise, then we can look at other alternatives to bring it proud of the courts.
Speaker will wait, not the members of the House for floor, shake hands without to be announced. Thank you.
Go on to that.